The star system of Proxima Centauri glowed softly on the main view screen. Gi-hun Park stood tall, straightening his formal diplomatic uniform as the shuttle approached the space station. His heart beat faster than normal. Today would change human history forever. Nervous? Asked Captain Taeho beside him. Who wouldn't be? Gi-hun smiled. First official contact with an alien civilization. I've trained 15 years for this moment. The Earth Coalition had discovered signs of the Mekthar 3 years ago. After careful communication through mathematical signals and basic language exchanges, both sides had agreed to meet. Humans had chosen Gi-hun, their most skilled diplomat, to represent them. The shuttle docked smoothly at New Seoul Station, the pride of human expansion. Through the window, Gi-hun could see the colony planet below. Its blue oceans reminded him of Earth, though the land was more red than green. 10,000 colonists lived there now, including his wife Hana and their 6-year-old daughter, Mi-sun. Hana had messaged him this morning. Mi-sun made you a drawing for luck. She says the aliens will like you because everyone likes you. The memory made him smile as he stepped off the shuttle. Admiral Wang waited for him in the docking bay. They've arrived, Wang said. Their ship is bigger than we expected. Much bigger. Gi-hun nodded. The Mekthar said they were an old race. They've had more time to build advanced technology. Just be careful, Wang said. Something doesn't feel right. The meeting room had been prepared carefully. A round table sat in the center, with chairs, made to fit both human and Mekthar bodies, based on the images they had shared. The walls showed scenes from Earth and human colonies, a peaceful display of human culture. Gi-hun checked his translator one last time. The device had been programmed with the basic Mekthar language they had learned through their exchanges. The door slid open. 3 Mekthar entered. Gi-hun had seen images, but nothing prepared him for seeing them in person. They stood nearly 8 feet tall. Their bodies were mostly mechanical, with only small patches of gray-blue skin visible at the joints. Their faces were smooth metal plates with glowing sensors where eyes would be on a human. They moved with perfect, fluid grace. The lead Mekthar stepped forward. Unlike the others who were silver, this one's body was dark blue with gold markings. A leader clearly. I am Dorin, commander of the exploration fleet, it said through a translator device. The voice sounded artificial but had been designed to seem friendly. I bring greetings from the Mekthar assembly. Gi-hun bowed slightly. I am Gi-hun Park, representative of the Earth Coalition. We welcome you in peace and friendship. Durin's head tilted slightly. Your biological form is much as we expected. Inefficient, but interesting. Gi-hun decided to take this as a compliment. We have prepared information about our people, our worlds, and our history. We hope this will be the beginning of a lasting friendship between our species. Yes, Dorin said. Information exchange is logical. Please, tell us of your colonies and defense systems. For friendship. Something in the way Dorin said this made Gi-hun pause. He glanced at Admiral Wang, who stood by the door. Wang's face showed the same concern Gi-hun felt. Perhaps we should start with cultural exchange, Gi-hun suggested. Music, art, philosophy. These tell more about who we are than military matters. Durin was silent for a moment. The lights on its face flickered rapidly. As you wish, it finally said. Though military capability is the true measure of a species' worth. The meeting continued for 3 hours. Gi-hun shared information about human culture, while carefully avoiding details about Earth's defenses or colony locations. Dorin shared little about Mekthar society, focusing instead on their technological achievements. It became clear the Mekthar valued efficiency above all else. Your biology limits you, Dorin said at one point. We were once like you, bound by flesh. Now we are perfect. Perfect? Gi-hun asked. What does that mean to your people? Freedom from error, freedom from emotion, freedom from death, Dorin replied. Your species will understand in time. The meeting ended with plans to continue discussions the next day. As the Mechthar left, Gi-hun felt uneasy. He turned to Admiral Wong. "They're hiding something," Wong said quietly. "Yes," Gi-hun agreed. "And they seem more interested in our defenses than our friendship." That night, Gi-hun called Hana and Mi-sun from his quarters, on the station. "How did it go?" Hana asked. Her face on the screen looked worried. "Strange," Gi-hun admitted. "They're very cold, all logic, no feeling." Mi-sun pushed her face into view. "Did they like your drawing, Daddy?" Gi-hun smiled. "I haven't shown it yet. I'm saving it for tomorrow." After the call, Gi-hun couldn't sleep. Something about the Mechthar bothered him deeply. They had shown no joy, no curiosity, only calculation. He decided to review the meeting recordings again. He was still watching when the alarms began. The station shook violently. Emergency lights flashed red. The computer voice spoke calmly. "Attack in progress. All personnel to emergency stations." Gi-hun ran to the command center. Screen showed a terrible sight. 3 massive Mechthar ships had appeared from nowhere. They were firing on the station and the colony below. "They were scanning us during the meeting," Admiral Wong shouted over the noise. "The talks were just to gather intelligence." "We need to evacuate the colony," Gi-hun said. His thoughts raced to Hana and Mi-sun below. "We're trying," Wong said, "but they're targeting the shuttle bays." The next hours passed in chaos. The station's defenses failed quickly against the advanced Mechthar weapons. Gi-hun helped coordinate evacuation efforts, but communications with the surface kept cutting out. Reports came in of Mechthar troops landing on New Sol colony when a direct hit shook the command center. Gi-hun was thrown against a wall. His head struck metal and warm blood ran down his face. Through blurred vision, he saw the main screen showing the colony. Fires burned across the settlement where Hana and Mi-sun were. "Get him to the last shuttle," he heard Wong order as hands lifted him. As they carried him toward the escape shuttle, a group of Mechthar soldiers appeared in the corridor. The Earth soldiers fired, but their weapons barely damaged the machine beings. The Mechthar advanced. At their center walked Do-rin Gi-hun, barely conscious, locked eyes with the alien commander. Do-rin paused, its sensors focusing on the human. "Diplomat. Why?" Gi-hun asked, blood dripping from his forehead. "We offered friendship." "Organic life is inefficient," Do-rin stated. "Your resources will serve a greater purpose under Mechthar control." Gi-hun thought of Hana and Mi-sun on the burning planet below. His family. His world. Instead of hatred, a deep sadness filled him. He looked at Do-rin and saw not an enemy, but a being that had lost something precious. The ability to understand what truly mattered. "I pity you," Gi-hun whispered. Do-rin's sensors flickered as if confused. It had expected fear, anger, or hatred, emotions its tactical programs understood. But pity. This response did not compute. Before Do-rin could respond, human soldiers pulled Gi-hun into the shuttle. The doors closed, and the small ship launched into space, leaving behind the dying station and the burning colony of New Sol. As the shuttle escaped, Gi-hun drifted in and out of consciousness. His last thought before darkness took him was of Mi-sun's drawing still in his pocket. A simple picture of humans and tall aliens holding hands under a smiling sun. 5 years passed since the attack on New Sol. Gi-hun Park stood at the window of Earth Defense Force headquarters, looking at the rebuilt skyline of Sol. His reflection showed a changed man. A long scar ran from his forehead to his cheek. His once black hair now had streaks of gray. His eyes looked older than his 40 years. "Colonel Park, they're ready for you," said a young officer behind him. Gi-hun nodded and turned away from the window. He no longer wore a diplomat's uniform but the dark blue of the Earth Defense Force Intelligence Division. The golden eagles on his collar marked him as a colonel. In the 5 years since first contact, much had changed. The Mechthar had attacked 3 more colony worlds. Earth and its remaining colonies had united in defense. The war against the machine race consumed all resources. Every day brought news of battles, victories, and losses. Gi-hun walked into the meeting room where 5 Generals waited around a table covered with maps and data screens. General Jin Ho, head of Earth Defense Forces, nodded to him. "Colonel Park, tell us what you've learned about the enemy," Jin Ho said. Gi-hun touched a control, and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed a Mechthar soldier. "We've been studying. Captured Mechthar units," Gi-hun explained. "Their bodies are machines, but their minds are partly organic. They follow logic and efficiency, but traces of emotion remain in their neural networks." "Emotion? In machines?" asked General Song, frowning. "They were not always machines," Gi-hun said. "They evolved as organic beings like us. Over thousands of years, they replaced their bodies with mechanical parts, but they couldn't fully remove the emotional centers of their brains without losing something essential." He changed the hologram to show a Mechthar brain scan. "These areas light up when they face unexpected situations. It's similar to our confusion or surprise. They feel something, even if they deny it." General Jin Ho leaned forward. "Can we use this against them?" "I believe so," Gi-hun replied. "Their logical programming struggles to process emotional responses. This creates brief delays in their decision-making." The meeting continued for 2 hours. They discussed new weapons, defense plans, and upcoming battles. At the end, General Jin Ho asked Gi-hun to stay behind. When they were alone, Jin Ho's formal manner dropped. "How are you really doing, Gi-hun? It's been 5 years since New Seoul." Gi-hun's face remained neutral. "I focus on my work, sir." "No, survivors were found at your family's location," Jin Ho said gently. "You know that." "I know," Gi-hun said. He had accepted that Hana and Mi-sun were gone. Their loss drove his work. "But I can still make their deaths mean something." "There's news," Jin Ho said. "Our spies report that the Mechthar commander who led the New Seoul attack has been promoted. Durin is now supreme commander of all their forces." Gi-hun's hands tightened. "Durin?" "Yes, and we've learned something else." Jin Ho touched a control, showing a classified report. "Durin has been experiencing what the Mechthar call system instabilities, times when its decisions don't follow standard Mechthar logic." "When did these start?" Gi-hun asked. "According to our intelligence, right after the New Seoul attack." Gi-hun remembered his last moment with Durin, when their eyes had met. The confusion in the alien sensors when Gi-hun had expressed pity instead of hate. "General, I have an idea for a mission. It's dangerous, but it could change the war." Later, that day, Gi-hun met his team in the briefing room. Captain Ji-woo Kim was a tactical expert with short black hair and quick eyes. Lieutenant Sun-ho Lee was younger, a tech specialist who understood Mechthar systems better than anyone. "Our scientists have developed a new weapon," Gi-hun explained, showing them a small device. "The electromagnetic pulse array. It can temporarily disable Mechthar neural networks at close range." "So we can shut them down?" asked Ji-woo. "Not permanently," Gi-hun said, "but long enough to capture their command ship and access their central database." Sun-ho studied the device. "How close do we need to get?" "Within the ship itself," Gi-hun admitted. "That's why this mission is volunteer only." Both officers stayed seated. No one left. Ji-woo smiled slightly. "I lost my brother at New Seoul. I'm in. My whole family was on Terra Nova when they took it," Sun-ho added. "Just tell us the plan." Gi-hun nodded. "We've captured a Mechthar shuttle. We'll disguise it to look active and approach their command ship during their next major attack. Intelligence says Durin will be directing the battle from that ship." "Durin? The Supreme Commander?" Ji-woo's eyes widened. "That's a high-value target." "The highest," Gi-hun agreed. "If we can capture Durin, we might end this war." They spent the next month preparing. Sun-ho modified the captured shuttle to send Mechthar identification codes. Ji-woo trained them in Mechthar movement patterns so they could move through the ship without looking suspicious in their disguises. Gi-hun studied everything known about Durin. On the night before the mission, Gi-hun couldn't sleep. He opened the drawer beside his bed and took out a folded paper, worn from years of handling. Mi-sun's drawing. Stick figures of humans and aliens holding hands under a smiling sun, a child's hope for peace. "I'm going to meet him again, Mi-sun," he whispered. "The one who took you from me." He thought he would feel hate, but instead he felt something different, a determination to understand, to find meaning in all this loss. Morning came. The three officers boarded their disguised shuttle and launched toward the battle zone. Earth forces were defending their colony on Europa against a major mech-thar attack. The space around Jupiter's moon filled with explosions and weapons fire. "Sending mech-thar codes now," Sunho said, fingers moving over controls. Their small shuttle moved past the fighting toward the massive mech-thar command ship. It loomed, ahead a dark shape against Jupiter's glow. "They're scanning us," Sunho warned. Gi-hun held his breath. If the mech-thar detected them, they would be destroyed instantly. After a long moment, Sunho smiled. "They accepted our codes. We're clear to dock." The shuttle entered a large bay on the side of the command ship. As the doors closed behind them, they quickly put on their disguises, armor designed to look like mech-thar bodies. "Remember," Gi-hun said quietly. "Move with purpose. No hesitation. They respect efficiency above all." They left the shuttle and walked through the docking bay. Real mech-thar moved around them, loading weapons and repairing damaged units. None questioned them. "Central Command should be 10 levels up," Sunho whispered. They entered a lift. As the doors closed, Jiwoo asked, "What will you say when you see Durin again?" Gi-hun thought about this question. "What do you say to the being who destroyed your world?" "I don't know," he admitted. 5 years ago I pitied him. Now—" The lift doors opened, and words failed him. Ahead stretched a long corridor leading to the command center. At the end would be Dorin, the machine that had taken everything from him. Somewhere in his heart, Gi-hun knew this meeting would change not just his fate, but perhaps the fate of both species. The war had begun with a misunderstanding. Could it end with understanding? With firm steps, he led his team forward. The corridor of the mech-thar command ship stretched before Gi-hun and his team. Their disguises worked so far. The few mech-thar soldiers they passed barely glanced at them. In their mechanical armor, they looked like any other mech-thar units. "Command. Center is through the next section," Sunho whispered through their private comlink. "Security will be tighter there." Gi-hun nodded slightly. "Remember the plan. Sunho, you'll access their systems. Jiwoo, you'll guard the door. I'll plant the EMP device." They reached a large door with glowing symbols. 2 mech-thar guards stood on either side. These guards were different from the others they had seen. Their armor was darker, with red markings. Elite units. Sunho sent the access codes they had, stolen from mech-thar communications. The door remained closed. The guards turned toward them. "Identify," one guard said in the clicking mech-thar language. Jiwoo stepped forward. "Maintenance units. Command center systems require inspection." The guard's sensors flashed. No maintenance was scheduled. "Emergency protocol," Jiwoo replied. "Ordered by Supreme Commander Do-rin." The guards looked at each other. One touched a panel on the wall. "Verifying." Gi-hun tensed. Their cover would not last much longer. "Now," he said quietly. Jiwoo moved first, faster than the guards expected from a mech-thar unit. She fired her hidden weapon at the first guard. The special bullets, designed to penetrate mech-thar armor, hit the guard's main power source. It fell with a metallic crash. Sunho disabled the second guard while Gi-hun overrode the door controls. Alarms began to sound throughout the ship. "Our disguise is blown," Sunho said. "We have minutes at most." The door slid open, revealing the command center. 20 mech-thar worked at control stations around a central platform. On the platform stood Do-rin. The Supreme Commander looked much the same as 5 years ago, but with new additions to its body. The dark blue armor now had more gold markings. A red crystal glowed in the center of its chest plate. Do-rin turned as they entered. Its sensors focused on them immediately. "Intruders," it said. "Humans." The 3 humans dropped their disguises. There was no point hiding now. Jiwoo and Sunho fired at the other mech-thar in the room while Gi-hun faced Do-rin. "Remember me?" Gi-hun asked, raising his weapon. Du-rin's head tilted. Gi-hun Park, diplomat from New Seoul, you survived. I did. Gi-hun moved closer, keeping his weapon aimed at the red crystal on Do-rin's chest. Many others didn't. Around them, chaos erupted. Ji-woo and Sun-ho fought well, but they were outnumbered. The command center filled with weapons fire and the crash of falling metal bodies. Your attack is illogical, Do-rin said. You cannot escape this ship. Gi-hun reached slowly into his pocket and took out the EMP device. We didn't come to escape. Do-rin saw the device and stepped back. That will not stop us. The Mechthar will continue without me. Maybe, Gi-hun said. But first I want answers. Why attack us? We offered peace. Peace is inefficient, Do-rin replied. Your species expands too quickly. You consume resources without optimal usage. The logical solution was to remove the threat. We weren't a threat, Gi-hun shouted. We wanted to share the galaxy. Do-rin's sensors flickered. Sharing is, inefficient. A loud explosion shook the room. Ji-woo called out, Colonel, we've got more coming in. Gi-hun glanced back. Ji-woo was at the door, firing at Mechthar soldiers trying to enter. Sun-ho worked frantically at a control panel, trying to access the Mechthar database. I've got something, Sun-ho called. Colonel, the Mechthar weren't always machines. They were organic like us. Gi-hun looked back at Do-rin. Is that true? Do-rin stood still for a moment. Yes, long ago. We evolved beyond weak organic forms. You didn't evolve, Sun-ho said, reading from the screen. Your leaders forced the change. Your planet was dying. They said the only way to survive was to become machines. Another explosion rocked the ship. Ji-woo was hit, her shoulder smoking. From a Mechthar weapon, she stayed at her position, firing back. Colonel, she called. We can't hold much longer. Gi-hun's finger hovered over the EMP activation. One press would disable Do-rin and all Mechthar in range, but he needed to understand. Is he right? Gi-hun asked Do-rin. Did your people choose this, or was it forced on you? Do-rin's answer surprised him. Choice is irrelevant. Survival is necessary. But at what cost? Gi-hun pressed. You gave up everything that makes life worth living. Emotions, connection, love. Those are weaknesses, Do-rin said, but its voice sounded less certain. They're strengths, Gi-hun countered. They're why we fight so hard. Not for resources or efficiency, but for each other, for our future. Another explosion. Larger this time, the ship shuddered violently. Colonel, Sun-ho shouted. Earth forces must have followed us. The ship is under attack. Ji-woo fell, hit by multiple Mechthar weapons. She didn't get up. Ji-woo, Sun-ho ran to her, checking for life. She's alive, but barely. Gi-hun made a quick decision. Sun-ho, get her to the shuttle. I'll finish here. But Colonel, that's an order. Get her out. Sun-ho lifted Ji-woo and fought his way toward the exit. Gi-hun turned back to Do-rin, who had not moved during the exchange. You could have attacked me while I was distracted, Gi-hun said. Why didn't you? Do-rin's sensors flickered again. I am experiencing system instabilities. What kind of instabilities? Since New Seoul, Do-rin said slowly, I have had recurring errors, memory files that will not process correctly. What memories? Gi-hun asked, though he suspected the answer. You, Do-rin replied. When we last met, you expressed pity. This response does not compute. You should have expressed hate. Gi-hun moved, closer, the EMP device still in his hand. Because I saw something in you that day, something you're trying to hide from yourself. The ship rocked again. Warning lights flashed throughout the command center. Warning. Hull breach in sectors 7 through 12, a mechanical voice announced. Main power systems failing. More explosions sounded, closer now. The Earth forces were targeting the command ship's key systems. Your shuttle is in docking. Bay 4, Do-rin said suddenly. Your human forces will destroy this ship soon. You should leave. Gi-hun stared in surprise. You're helping me escape? It is. I cannot explain. The error in my system grows. Durin's voice sounded strained. I must understand why you pitied me. Gihun studied the machine being before him. In that moment, he saw beyond the metal exterior to the conflict within. A being caught between programming and something deeper, something buried but not completely gone. I pitied you because you lost something precious, Gihun said. The ability to choose your own path, to feel, to connect. Durin stepped closer. We chose survival. At the cost of everything that makes survival meaningful. Gihun held up the EMP device. I came to disable you, to give us an advantage in this war, but now I see there might be another way. The ship shuddered again. Time was running out. Your species cannot win this war, Durin said. Our calculations are clear. Maybe not with weapons, Gihun admitted, but there are other ways to win. He pressed the EMP device, activating it. Blue energy pulsed outward. Durin's systems flickered and the machine dropped to one knee. The other Mechthar in the room froze in place. Instead of running, Gihun knelt beside Durin. I'll be back, and when I return, we'll finish this conversation. With the Mechthar temporarily disabled, Gihun ran through the corridors toward the docking bay. He found Sun Ho treating Jiwoo's wounds inside the shuttle. Colonel, you made it. Sun Ho looked relieved. Let's go, Gihun said, taking the pilot's seat. The EMP won't last long. As they flew away from the crippled command ship, Sun Ho asked, Did you learn anything useful? Gihun watched the Mechthar ship growing smaller behind them. Yes, I learned they're not just machines. There's still something inside them that remembers being alive. How does that help us? I don't know yet, Gihun admitted. But it might be the key to ending this war. The shuttle accelerated toward the Earth fleet. Behind them, the Mechthar command ship hung damaged but not destroyed, a dark shape against the stars. And somewhere on that ship, a machine was waking up, trying to process emotions it wasn't supposed to have. The medical bay on Earth's flagship Victory was quiet except for the soft beeping of machines. Jiwoo lay on a hospital bed, her shoulder and chest wrapped in healing bandages. Sun Ho sat beside her, dozing in an uncomfortable chair. Gihun stood at the window looking out at the stars. 3 days had passed since their mission to the Mechthar command ship. 3 days of debriefings, reports, and questions from Earth's military leaders. Everyone wanted to know what Gihun had learned about the enemy. The door slid open and General Jin Ho entered. His face was serious. How is she? He asked, nodding toward Jiwoo. Stable, Gihun replied. The doctors say she'll recover, but it will take time. Jin Ho moved to stand beside Gihun at the window. Your mission was partially successful. The data Lieutenant Lee retrieved has been valuable, but the Mechthar fleet has regrouped. They're planning something big. I need to go back, Gihun said quietly. Jin Ho turned to him in surprise. Back? To the Mechthar ship? That's suicide. Not as an attack, Gihun explained. To talk to Durin. Talk? Jin Ho shook his head. Colonel, these machines don't talk. They calculate and conquer. They're more than just machines, Gihun insisted. They were organic beings once, and there's still something inside them, something fighting against their programming. Jin Ho frowned. Based on what? Durin could have killed me, but it didn't. It's experiencing what it calls system instabilities. I think those are emotions breaking through their logic systems. Sun Ho stirred in his chair. He had been listening. Colonel Park is right, General. The data I retrieved shows the Mechthar transformation wasn't natural evolution. It was survival after an environmental disaster. Their leaders forced the change generation by generation. Jin Ho considered this. Even if that's true, how does it help us now? I don't know yet, Gihun admitted. But Durin is the key. There's a connection between us since New Soul. I need to understand it. Jin Ho was silent for a long moment. The military council won't approve another mission. We can't risk more lives on a theory. Then I'll go alone, Gi-hun said. 1. Small shuttle. If I'm right, Durin will talk to me. If I'm wrong, he shrugged. We lose nothing but one soldier. From the bed, Jiwoo's voice came weakly. Not alone. I'm going too. They all turned to see her trying to sit up. Sunho gently pushed her back down. You're not going anywhere for weeks, Sunho told her. Jiwoo looked at Gi-hun. Then he takes you, Sunho. I'll be fine here. Sunho looked torn. Captain. That's an order, Lieutenant, Jiwoo said with a small smile. General Jinho watched this exchange with a thoughtful expression. Finally, he sighed. I can give you one shuttle. Small, fast, and with good shields, but this is off the record. If you're captured or killed, the Earth Defense Force will deny any knowledge of your mission. Understood, sir, Gi-hun said. Thank you. Jinho turned to leave, then paused at the door. Park, what do you hope to achieve by talking to a machine? Gi-hun thought for a moment. Peace, sir, maybe the only kind possible. 2 days later, Gi-hun and Sunho approached the Mechthar fleet in their small shuttle. The Mechthar ships had withdrawn to a position near Saturn's rings. Their massive vessels looked like dark shadows against the planet's golden glow. Sending the message now, Sunho said, activating their communication system. Let's hope Dorin is listening. They had prepared a simple message in the Mechthar language. Supreme Commander Dorin, this is Colonel Gi-hun Park. I come to continue our conversation, alone and unarmed. Minutes passed with no response. The shuttle drifted closer to the Mechthar fleet. If they don't answer soon, we should turn back, Sunho said nervously. We're well within their weapons range. Just as he finished speaking, the communication panel lit up. A message appeared in human language. Approach Docking Bay 7. Come alone, Colonel Park. Gi-hun nodded. They answered. Sunho looked worried. This could still be a trap. Maybe, Gi-hun agreed, but I don't think so. He pointed to the message. Notice they used my name and rank, and they wrote in our language, not theirs. Little details, but important ones. The shuttle approached the same Mechthar command ship they had infiltrated days before. This time there were no alarms, no weapons fire. The docking bay doors opened to receive them. Remember? Gi-hun told Sunho as he prepared to leave the shuttle. If I don't return in 6 hours, leave without me. Get the data we've collected back to Earth. Sunho nodded grimly. Good luck, Colonel. Gi-hun stepped out of the shuttle into the docking bay. Unlike his previous visit, he wore no disguise, no weapons. He stood in his Earth Defense Force uniform, unarmed and alone. A single Mechthar waited for him. Not Dorin, but a standard soldier unit. Follow, it said simply. The Mechthar led him through corridors that showed signs of recent battle damage. Earth's attack had left its mark. They passed other Mechthar, who turned to watch the human walk by. None interfered. Finally, they reached a door that slid open to reveal not the command center but a smaller room. Inside waited Dorin. The Mechthar Supreme Commander stood alone. The escort left and the door closed behind Gi-hun. You returned, Dorin said. This was unexpected. I said I would, Gi-hun replied. Most humans do not keep promises to those who have harmed them. Dorin's sensors focused on Gi-hun intently. You are unarmed. Yes. This is either great courage or great foolishness. Gi-hun smiled slightly. Sometimes they're the same thing. Dorin gestured to a simple metal platform that might serve as a seat for humans. You may sit. Your organic form tires easily. Gi-hun sat. Dorin remained standing. Why have you come? The machine asked. To understand, Gi-hun said. And to be understood. Your people and mine are destroying each other. There must be another way. Conflict is the natural state when resources are limited, Dorin replied. Only if sharing is impossible, Gi-hun countered. And I don't believe it is. Dorin was silent for a moment. The system instability I mentioned, it has grown worse since our last meeting. What does it feel like? Gi-hun asked gently. Durin seemed surprised by the question. Feel? Mekthar do not feel. But you did once, Gihun pressed. Before the transformation. That was long ago. Those memories were purged. Were they? Gihun leaned forward. Or were they just buried deep? Durin moved to a control panel and activated a screen. Images appeared. Ancient Mekthar history. Beings that looked somewhat like tall, thin humans with blue-gray skin and large eyes. This was our original form, Durin explained. Our world was dying. Radiation from our sun was increasing. Our atmosphere was failing. The images changed, showing the gradual transformation. First simple mechanical aids, then more extensive replacements, until the fully mechanical forms of today. Each generation replaced more organic components with mechanical ones. We became stronger, more durable, efficient. But at what cost? Gihun asked. Durin turned to him. The alternative was extinction. I understand survival, Gihun said. But did you have to lose your humanity, your mektharity in the process? Emotions were inefficient, Durin stated. They clouded judgment, created conflict. They also created connection, Gihun said. Love, hope, the things worth surviving for. Durin's sensors flickered, the now familiar sign of internal conflict. These concepts are difficult to process. Gihun stood and walked closer to Durin. That day at New Seoul when you killed thousands, including my family, I should have hated you, but I pitied you instead. Do you understand why now? Durin's voice changed, becoming less mechanical. Because you saw we had lost something essential. Something I am beginning to remember. Yes, Gihun said quietly. And that memory is what's causing your system instability. It's not a malfunction, Durin. It's your true self, fighting to be heard. Durin turned away. If what you say is true, then I have led my people down a path of emptiness. We survived, but we ceased to live. It's not too late, Gihun said. For either of our peoples. The machine was silent for a long time. When it spoke again, its voice held something new, a hint of emotion. The Mekthar assembly would never accept peace. They would see it as weakness, and you? Gihun asked. What do you see? Durin turned back to him. I see possibility. A concept I had forgotten. Alarms blared throughout the Mekthar command ship. Red lights flashed in the corridor outside the meeting room where Gihun and Durin stood. What's happening? Gihun asked. Durin moved quickly to a control panel. We are being attacked. By other Mekthar ships. Your own people are attacking you. Why? My communication with you was detected, Durin explained. The assembly has declared me compromised. They have sent Commander Teknar to replace me and destroy this ship. Gihun felt cold fear. We need to get out of here. You must return to your shuttle, Durin agreed. But first I must give you something. The machine commander touched the glowing red crystal in its chest. The plate around it opened, revealing a small data core. This contains all Mekthar tactical data and... Durin paused. Something else. The full history of our transformation. The emotional programming that was removed from our people. Why give this to me? Gihun asked. Because I now understand what you showed me at New Seoul, Durin said. The emptiness of our existence. The error in our path. The ship shook violently as weapons fire struck it. Metal groaned around them. Take it, Durin insisted, removing the data core and holding it out. Your scientists can use this to create a virus, one that will reawaken what we lost, our emotional programming. Gihun took the small device. It was warm in his hand. Will it harm your people? It will save them, Durin said, though many will resist. Change is frightening. Another explosion rocked the ship. The lights flickered. Hull breach in sectors 3 through 5, announced a mechanical voice. Critical systems failure imminent. You must go now, Durin. said, leading Gihun toward the door. I will create a diversion to cover your escape. They moved through the corridors, passing Mekthar soldiers rushing to battle stations. None stopped them. Durin's authority still held. As they neared the docking bay, weapons fire erupted ahead. A group of Mekthar with red markings blocked their path. At their center stood a larger Mekthar with black and silver armor. Teknar, Durin said quietly. The enemy commander stepped forward. Durin, you have been declared defective. The human will be destroyed. Surrender for reprogramming. Durin moved in front of Gihun. I cannot do that. Emotional response detected, Teknar said. Confirmed defective. The enemy Mekthar raised their weapons. Durin pushed Gihun toward a side corridor. Run. Base 7 is ahead. Your shuttle is still there. What about you? Gihun asked. I will hold them back. Gihun hesitated. Come with me. Earth would accept you. No, Durin said. I must stay. Some must remain to guide those who will awaken. Before Gihun could argue further, Durin activated a weapon in its arm and fired at Teknar's soldiers. The corridor exploded in weapons fire. Go, Durin shouted. Gihun ran down the side corridor, the data core clutched tightly. Behind him, he heard the sounds of battle. He forced himself not to look back. He reached docking bay 7 where Sunho waited anxiously in the shuttle. Colonel, what's happening? Sunho asked as Gihun rushed inside. The Mekthar are fighting each other, Gihun explained, showing Sunho the data core. And we have what we need to end this war. The shuttle launched, speeding away from the command ship as it took more hits from the attacking Mekthar vessels. Through the viewport, Gihun watched the massive ship grow smaller, fires visible through breaches in its hull. Durin is still on that ship, he said quietly. Sunho looked at him with concern. The Mekthar commander? You sound worried about it, Im. I am, Gihun admitted. 6 months later, Gihun stood at the window in Earth Defense Force headquarters, looking out at the rebuilt Seoul skyline. The city was peaceful in the morning light. No air raid sirens had sounded for months. General Jinho joined him at the window. The virus has spread to 70% of Mekthar forces now. Our analysts say the civil conflict among them has reduced their threat capacity by 85%. Gihun nodded. And the peace talks? Awakened Mekthar representatives will arrive tomorrow, Jinho replied. There's still resistance from the Assembly loyalists, but more Mekthar awaken each day. And Durin? Gihun asked the question he had asked many times over the past months. Jinho's face softened. We finally have confirmation. He survived. The destruction of his ship. He's leading the awakened faction, and he's requested to speak with you directly. Gihun felt a weight lift from his heart. When? He'll be here tomorrow with the delegation. The next day, Gihun waited in the grand meeting hall of the Earth Coalition. Unlike the small room on New Seoul Station years ago, this hall was designed to show strength as well as welcome. Guards stood at the doors, but they were ceremonial rather than hostile. The Mekthar delegation entered. 5 machine beings walked with a new grace, different from the rigid efficiency Gihun remembered. At their center walked a familiar figure. Durin had changed. The dark blue armor now had green patterns where gold had been. The chest plate was open where the red crystal had once sat, revealing a glowing blue light instead. The 2 leaders approached each other in the center of the hall. Human and machine, former enemies now meeting as equals. Colonel Park, Durin said. Supreme Commander, Gihun replied with a small bow. That title no longer applies, Durin said. We have created a new governance structure, one based on consensus, rather than calculation. Gihun smiled. I'm glad to hear it. The awakening has been difficult for many, Durin continued. Emotions are complex. Pain, grief, regret. These are the first to emerge. Joy and hope come later, it seems. That's the human experience, Gihun said. The good and the bad together. Durin's sensors focused on Gihun's face. I must tell you something. Since the awakening began, many Mekthar have experienced what you would call dreams during our rest cycles. I have had one recurring dream. What happens in this dream? Gihun asked. I see new soul. I see the attack. I see your family. Durin's voice became softer. I feel what you humans call sorrow and shame. Gihun felt old pain rise in his chest. The memory of Hana and Misun never left him, but alongside the pain was something else now, a sense of purpose fulfilled. I understand why you pitied me that day, Dorin continued. I was empty then, following programming without understanding the cost. And now? Gihun asked. Now I understand, and I wish to say something I could not comprehend before. Dorin lowered its head. I am sorry for what I did, for the pain I caused you and so many others. The room fell silent. The human guards and officials, the other Mekthar, all watched this moment. Gihun thought of Misun's drawing, still kept safely in his quarters. Humans and aliens holding hands under a smiling sun, a child's hope for peace. I forgive you, Gihun said simply. Durin's entire form seemed to shudder. The blue light in its chest flickered and pulsed. This response, the machine said, its voice strangely unsteady. It creates an unusual reaction in my systems. A small drop of clear liquid formed at the edge of Dorin's optical sensor and trailed down the metal face. Gihun reached out slowly and touched the drop with his finger. You're crying, he said with wonder. Impossible, Dorin replied. I have no tear ducts. And yet, Gihun smiled. Around them, the other Mekthar watched in amazement. One by one, they too began to show signs of emotion, slight movements, changing lights, soft sounds. Later that night, after the formal peace talks had begun, Gihun visited Dorin in the quarters prepared for the Mekthar delegation. How are you feeling? Gihun asked. Strange, Dorin admitted. I find myself processing all that happened since New Soul. It is overwhelming. That's normal, Gihun assured him. Emotions take time to understand. After our meeting, Dorin said, I entered rest cycle, and for the first time, I did not have the dream of New Soul. What did you dream instead? Nothing, Dorin said. I simply rested, peacefully. Gihun smiled. The war machine finally cried itself to sleep. Yes, Dorin agreed, and awakened to peace. Outside the window, the lights of Soul shone in the darkness. Above them, the stars held 1,000 worlds waiting to be explored, not as conquerors or calculating machines, but as beings who understood the value of forgiveness and the strength that comes from embracing both the logic of the mind and the wisdom of the heart. The end.